and welcome to Goldbridge Saves Football. We're back. It's the FA Cup weekend, Managerial Madness. We're also going to be talking about names that you don't get anymore in football. Like Niall, our producer, was saying, you can't breastfeed a Craig. Don't worry, he's not tried it. He's seen it on TikTok. So, Gary, no one's going to get called Gary, even though they've got the two best podcasts in the footballing space. We'll talk about that in a bit as well. Loads to get into on the show. Guilty or not guilty is what we're going to start off with, though, Will. Something I would put a good amount of money on that you're going to face at some point in your life. Get in the comments with the charges he'd probably face, Will. I'm getting the word... Nah, it's not fair to say stuff like that. He's looking flustered. No, we're not going to talk about Man City, Will. No. That would have been your guess, wouldn't it?
Yeah, no, I'd probably like connotations of working with you, and we're both up on charge.
Yeah.
Crimes against football.
We're talking about Ten-Hag. Guilty or not guilty? On Sunday, he'll find out. Is he guilty of losing his job and responsible, or is he not guilty for Manchester United's bad season? He is like a man on trial. It could be his last game, regardless of the result in this FA Cup final.
Yeah, I'd like to think with the sort of passion and the organisation and the authority that Ineos have come in with, like they wouldn't pull a Louis van Gaal move off like we saw a couple of years ago when in relation to what you've had done, he was doing a relatively good job. So I think Ten Hag's there next season. I think we've spoken length about, is it just a one season wonder next year, and like they're waiting for the right man to come in. I don't know what would be enough to be like, right, he's our man for the next 3 years, because that's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm on the fence about.
I'll be honest, I don't know. I mean, look, there's so much in the rumour mill. I mean, I've been told all sorts of stuff over the last days and weeks about he's going, he's not going. It really, honestly, even from people within the club, we don't know. Like, so, and I'm not speaking out of turn there. It is, we don't know. And that could be people who put the shirt on to people who work in the office. They don't know. I don't know what the answer's going to be. I know what the answer should be. I'll stay firm on this. Ten Hag is got to stay.
Yeah.
It's interesting, though, isn't it? Because we've seen that Tuchel's desperate for the job. De Zerbi's gone, as we spoke about on Monday. Pochettino is now gone. I just don't... Like, you hit the nail on the head there. Sacking a Dutch manager after an FA Cup final and going for an ex-Chelsea manager. Oh, been there, done that. Yeah.
Got the T-shirt.
And why would you do that? As if you were Ineos, you want to do something different to the Glazers, don't you? You want to be, we're going to do something new. The familiarity of Tuchel or Pochettino is that they both managed Chelsea, and Ten Hag is Dutch, and it's an FA Cup final.
And all season, what have we been speaking about? The best thing of having that working relationship with the people above, and the main word that has been shone so much over the last couple of seasons is stability. And Ten Hag's been there for 2 years. They've been very different seasons, and yet he could walk out with a trophy from both seasons. And in the relative terms of Manchester City being the juggernaut, that has to be perceived as success. Like, it doesn't help when you've got the 99 documentary coming out. You said, 25 years ago, we won a treble. Like, that's once in a lifetime, as it's been proven. So I think you have to take a step back, remove all the "we are Man United" bullshit, and just be like, right, Manchester City are there and we're down here. If we can win 2 domestic trophies in 2 years, I think Ten Hag should be rewarded for that.
Yeah. Just before we get on to the FA Cup final, Niall's the expert on this. Eric, could you breastfeed an Eric? Is that a name that we could use?
Eric with a K.
Eric with a K?
I'd say no, really.
No. Okay. You need to get involved in the comments on this. We're talking names you can't call your babies. Hence, Niall likes to imagine breastfeeding them. No, he got it on TikTok. But get in the comments with names.
Why would he have something like that on TikTok come up in his feed?
I don't know. It doesn't make sense. I've never seen this on TikTok. I'll tell you what I do get on TikTok. Get this fan for £2.50. They're back in stock all the time.
Yeah.
I want. Stop serving me about a fan I'm not going to get. I've got a Dyson.
You've got enough fans, you have. Hey?
I've got enough fans.
Hey.
I missed that one.
Yeah, steady you.
I've got a bloody big Dyson one. It's like a bloody car. It's like an air hanger one.
On Dyson, I just had to replace my main frame the other week. It just after 6 months of going out of warranty.
They're bloody expensive.
£100 it was.
Well, they cost about £300.
I know.
I got it 2 years ago when it was like, that we had that hot summer.
Yeah.
I got one of them.
What, like the humidifier things?
No, it's like a big, massive, comes off the ground. It's got a big hole in it.
Yeah.
It's amazing. But I want TikTok to keep serving me the one where people are filling up sweet jars. That just gets me.
I can't imagine. Like, I think there should be some sort of a lot of people say it with podcasts, and it might not be fair, but like a committee that approves businesses and podcasts.
Yeah.
Like the rise of the amount of sweet shops on TikTok over that, like these are all going out of business. And when you see a local town centre and then you see like, oh, we're opening this ice cream parlour, is it going to work?
No. Someone should be telling them. Get on TikTok. Anyway, back to the FA Cup. Get in the comments about names that you don't think you should be calling your babies or won't be calling your babies anymore. Ian Beale. Yeah.
I think Ian Beale's ruined a generation of Eels.
Keep it for later.
Sorry.
FA Cup final preview. Back on Eric Ten-Hag. Could it be his last game? Should it even be the FA Cup final that makes the thing up? Because I read from a journalist at the start of the week that the result of the game against Man City might not be the factor. He may still keep his job if they lose, but it's how they deal with that loss and perform on the pitch. And yet again, I would say to everybody at home and you, why would a game against Man City in a one-off cup final decide your mind up on 10 years of failure and a structure that needs to be built in front? Win or lose, the decision should already be made.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I think that's why Ineos are going to stay with them, because everything that they've made their moves in every position. And I think if they were going to do it, it would be done by now. Like there's so many leaks that come out of Manchester United as well. Like if they were going to do it, it would have to be on the Monday.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because Arnie Slot's
Bank holiday Monday.
Well, all right, maybe the Tuesday, give them a little day off, but it has to be now because
they announced Ineos at 4:00 on Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
You will never know the pain of that.
That was great seeing you in a room with those children's toys behind you.
People thought I was in a bloody stable. That is one of my biggest 2024, but there's nothing more. As an influencer, it's hard work and respect to anybody who does it. But Christmas Eve, going to my sister's, did the morning show. No, I'm not going to do any more content until Boxing Day.
And the backdrop is you love Christmas.
And I bloody love Christmas. Get out the car in Nottingham at 3:00. Brother-in-law's there, shakes my hand, hands me a can. Here we go, it's Christmas. Noddy Holder's in town. He goes, I can't believe they've just announced Ineos. I went, yeah, good one. He went, what? Get on the phone, they've announced Ineos. Right, I've got to go upstairs and do a stream.
Yeah.
Annoying. So they could announce it on Sunday or Monday.
Well, hopefully, yeah. But I just think with the positions that they have filled, like though you do director of football, technical director was the other one, wasn't it? And you do a COO, and you do manager in that in one fell swoop. And I just think there's no standout candidate. I think we said it before. Neville said it. Like Southgate just can't work because of the Euros timing and bringing him in. So and it'd be nice to have. I really want Ten-Hag to succeed as well. Like that, we were speaking the other day, weren't we, about the that Ajax team and the nostalgia around that, and you have those individual moments in football. I'd like to see a bit of a redemption arc for Ten-Hag.
Also, I think as well, timelines are very important. We're going to talk about the England Euros squad in a minute. The Euros were always going to happen this summer, and they basically start next week with squads and training camps and friendlies. If you look at Liverpool with Arnie Slot, he has that. They know they've got him, and he's still going to have his work cut out to get things organised in one summer. If United did part ways with Ten Hag, say next Monday, they haven't held talks with any other manager. No. So you've got to sort of interview a few people who want the job. Then by the time that's done, the squad's gone. Yeah. And then, and then when you're actually going to get the ball down the lane.
And the big thing is with Man United is the player power and is the sort of...
You've got to get the players out, haven't you?
Where you've been dictating the dressing room, but how are you going to actually solve that problem yourself with not having one-to-one time, and then you're relying on others? I think it's so obvious just speaking through it that Ten Hag's going to be there next season.
Well, I think there's a big advantage for keeping your manager, but if you remind that, keep that in your hat, and everyone at home, I'll talk about that when we talk about Pochettino and the managerial merry-go-round. But let's talk about the FA Cup final. In its essence, this was always a podcast I was looking forward to, because the FA Cup final for me growing up was massive. Give us your FA Cup memories in the chat. My first ever game I remember watching in its entirety was Coventry Spurs in '87. Every year as a kid, from morning TV, the helicopter following the bus. It was such a major event. Then the Premier League happened, and the Champions League happened, and it sort of fell down.
I felt like every day in the FA Cup in like the 90s, early 2000s was like the hottest day of the year as well.
Yeah, and it's amazing because people wouldn't believe this, but genuinely, it's a bit like tennis and snooker when you realise there are other tournaments other than Wimbledon in tennis, and there are other tournaments other than the World Championship in snooker. I never realised that for years. And in football, the league champions didn't really matter comparative to the FA Cup final. The FA Cup final was the big event. Obviously, that's not the case anymore. But this is a big game. It's a Manchester derby. There is a bit of a hype around it. But I think whatever the FA Cup's problem identity-wise is, and it's many, it's also the fact that nobody is giving Man United a chance against Man City on Saturday.
Well, that's great for you, isn't it? And then it sort of ties into that FA Cup narrative that we all like, isn't it? Like, it's hard to be like, we're going in as the underdogs when you're Man United and you have the history and it's a local rival game, though, isn't it? Like, you can't be like, oh, let's have the spirit of Coventry City against Spurs from '86.
Wigan, 2011.
Yeah. But then...
Don't know whether it was. Niall will let us know.
I think it was.
Get in. That's a point for me.
No, it wasn't
12.
because we were 2011
Carling
Cup and it wouldn't have been...
Might have been 12.
What I was going to say, what's ruined the FA Cup, I don't know if it is this specific moment, but as soon as they went to the new Wembley, I feel like it went downhill.
Yeah,
What's the best,
nostalgia doesn't work in a new stadium, does it? That's the problem.
No, and even when they went to the Millennium Stadium, you think of like the Liverpool-Arsenal finals, the Liverpool-West Ham finals.
Well, you can't look back on the past if it's not part of the present.
Wow, let's get that on an Instagram quote there. You're moving into new territory there. Fantastic.
Well, it's true, isn't it? I'm thinking about I'm thinking about Christmas past when
Hold on, Bartlett, we've got a new guy in town.
I remember when my dad, because my mum and dad separated, and I remember I had to go to his house on the 22nd and 23rd. And I like my dad, but I never really used to like it because you're young and you met your mates and your family. And I remember him dropping us off on the night of the 23rd at my grand's house. And as I walked in, she had these lights just inside the door as I walked in. And I felt like, I was like, this is Christmas.
Yeah.
And it's that nostalgia.
Get that little feeling in your stomach.
And I can remember it and it's nice, but it's past. It's not there anymore, is it? And it's a bit like that at the FA Cup. You're right. When I think of 87, 88, Wimbledon, brilliant final that was.
Tennis or the football?
The football. Laurie Sanchez, Dave Besant's penalty save. All that nostalgia comes from the fact that it was a large part of the Twin Towers.
Oh, at Wembley, sorry.
Yeah. I don't know where he's going to with all this.
But it's like at your first...
That's nostalgia as well. You know, you watch Home Alone, you see the Twin Towers, and it's nostalgia, isn't it?
No, I was going to say it's like your first lover, isn't it? There's nostalgia there.
Yeah, but the trouble with the first lover is that, you know, don't look back and get on Facebook and let them slide in and say, let's meet up.
Especially with your
Unless
success
they're
as well.
holding up today's newspaper and everything looks the same. Because I guarantee you it won't. And the old habits will be there with a more rough and ready cover. It's true. I've seen so many of my mates do it. Lost relationships, friendships, marriages. Kids won't speak to them. All for a dabble down memory lane.
And that's the true essence of the FA Cup, really. Though.
Yeah. I don't know where we've gone with this. But no, you can't. And I think it's a great point by you, Will. One of probably three in the whole year, whereby, I think the old Wembley was a big part of it. Because if we were still playing at the old Wembley, then the echoes of the past would still be there in the present with the likes of, that's where Huchin scored his diving header for Coventry, or, you know, that's where Ian Rush scored against Everton in 86, or, you know, that's where Lee Martin scored against Palace.
My first one was 97 when Arsenal beat Newcastle. Nicholas Anelka
Yeah.
Steve Howie apart?
Maybe.
And then 98, 99 obviously been brought back into the fore because of the 99 treble again. Yeah, it was just something about it. But even when it went to Millennium Stadium, because that was a new stadium then, but...
It's like the Emirates and the Highbury, though. Highbury, I'd
love to have gone to Highbury.
Oh, yeah.
I literally live, you know, it's the block of flats now. I live right by it and you can walk in and the middle bit is still the pitch.
Yeah. I always go to Highbury when I go to the Emirates and you can feel,
I lived there, so
you can feel it. I didn't know any then. But I played at Anfield on Monday.
Yes,
and that's an example of an old ground that's been modernised.
And also, like as much as I hate them, Villa Park is a great stadium. And
it's such a shame that clubs move to new stadiums. I understand it, but look, you know, back on Man United, Old Trafford should not be in this. It's a shithole in relation to how
Old
it's
Trafford's
rusted.
a shithole that can go because it's like that sort of.
But it shouldn't be. You know, if you go to Anfield and look at the facilities and everything like that, it's amazing. And yet that ground has been there for a long, long time.
And built into the city and around the terraced houses as well. Yeah. This weekend, though, I think back onto it is.
Can Man United win?
Well,
you should be asking me that.
Yeah. Well, can they win? And also, hopefully start a little bit better.
Yeah, I think.
Than last time.
Yeah, I don't want to be memed again. Look at Man City going long ball already. Seconds later, they scored. I actually think last season, the weird thing is, it reminds me a little bit of when Man United played Barcelona in 2009 in Rome in the Champions League final, and I really thought we had a chance.
Yeah.
And we lost. And then we played them at Wembley 2 years later, and I didn't think we had a chance, and we lost because I thought Barcelona were better and we were worse. And I feel a little bit like last year we had a better chance of winning than this year, because I think last year's team was obviously better when you look at it. So I think it's, I wouldn't say it's mission impossible because you never know, but we still haven't got a left back. The centre backs have barely played. Yeah. We haven't really got any strikers. Rashford's out of form. Casemiro's out of form. Very disjointed. The best players are inexperienced. And then you look at Man City, best striker in the world, best holding midfielder in the world. Phil Foden's best player in the Premier League at the moment. Not to mention Kevin De Bruyne. I think it's, if Man City have a bad day and United have a couple of things go their way, Michael Oliver on VAR, it's not looking good. It's not looking good, bruv.
No, I think for me, as a neutral in the contest, you just want it to go on as long as you can, don't you? And sort of make it nice and tense and nervy. But
I don't even know how you approach the game, though, because I'm massively excited about it. But I think we scored first at the Etihad. They still won.
Yeah.
If they score first, they're hard to score. I don't look. I am excited about it because you can't give up. And as a Man United fan, I want us to win.
What would John Cena say?
But I don't know. What does John Cena say?
Never give up.
What does Shawn Michaels say?
I think I'm cute.
I know I'm sexy. I got the looks that drive the world. Sean, could you breastfeed a Sean?
There's two spellings as well of that. S-H-S-E.
Not the U. Yeah. Sean in Ireland. Plenty of Sean's on the breast in Ireland. Yeah. Don't worry, you wouldn't tune into a podcast later, so you know what we're on about. We'll talk more about that in a bit. Man City going to win the FA Cup then?
Yeah, sorry.
No, I'd say Man City are going to win, but going in as a United fan...
It just feels like there's a little bit of discontent in there. Like all the Edison stuff seems a bit weird.
Pep's going in a year.
Yeah, Pep's going in a year. Is Manchester City in crisis? Is this their last season?
I can't do another Man City in crisis video. But did you see the relegation odds for next season? It was like 2,000 to 1 for Liverpool and 25 to 1 for Man City.
Yeah.
Because obviously they think that there might be a charge. I think that's just the bookies covering their arse. I don't think there's any real belief that's
but even with
happen.
like the way it was funny at the time because the way Edison came off against Spurs and he was really angry, wasn't he? And he was slamming his thing down. Everyone was like, just because he wants to play. But then all the stuff's come out about him going, and Ortega's like said he wants to be number one or he's going elsewhere. But the best thing with Pep in those situations is it'll be clear cut, won't it? So they'll all know their position. So maybe Edison is going, but.
Think about the way Man City works is that it's such a well-oiled machine, pardon the pun, and it is such a juggernaut. Phil Foden could leave to Real Madrid for 300 million quid and they'd still win the league. Like they'll
got have a secret buyback on Cole Palmer for 1 million.
They've got so much quality there. But yeah, look, massively hope Man United can get a result. The lads have got to go and believe and give everything they've got, and even that might be enough, but not be enough. But I'm excited about that. And then I'm excited about what's to come after that, because if they stick with Ten-Hag, I'm really enthusiastic about the summer to come, because I think that as we move into managerial madness, we saw Pochettino get sacked this week, which was shocking. But I have an interesting angle which sort of feeds into that, and we'll get your thoughts, is that I think that stability this summer could be absolutely massive. And look, let's take Man United with Ten-Hag. If they stick with Ten-Hag, he's going to say, get rid of these players, bring these players in, and they'll work together. And they will have some momentum from what they've learnt this season to do better next season.
Yeah.
Same with Pep. Obviously, he's going to stay. Arteta. So you've got three clubs there, but then you've got Liverpool. You don't know what's going to happen with Slot. We said on Monday, if Salah goes as well, that's an even bigger blow. You've then got Chelsea now throwing themselves into reset mode.
Yeah.
You've got Spurs, who are Spurs. You've got Newcastle, who may be hindered a bit by financial fair play. Yeah. And you've got Villa, who haven't got the squad for the Champions League. So any club, I think Chelsea missed the trick, because I look at Man United, we're miles off, but I think, well...
Yeah, but even with Man United, I feel the best thing for Ten-Hag is that nucleus of those young players from Mainu, Garnacho, Rasmus, even like having Martinez fit for his whole season. Then you've got a bit of a core and a clear identity then to fit those pieces in and start building it. Whereas Chelsea, it felt like he got to that point, didn't you? Yeah. And of like, even the outpouring of display of emotion from the players on like Instagram, are like so many of them are speaking about him. So I think that's come in, had an argument. I'm off then, fuck you.
It's just really weird to me, because I think that apart from Arsenal and Man City, who doesn't matter about stability or consistency, they're going to be top 2 next season anyway. Liverpool have an air of vulnerability. Villa are vulnerable. Newcastle can't spend. Spurs, as we know, are Spurs until we're proven otherwise. And now Chelsea have put themselves into that. For Manchester United, you'd be looking at 4th, maybe 3rd, just through consistency and sticking with what you've got and carrying on your project's the word. The Ten-Hag project continues. But that Chelsea thing is just mad to me. Can you even get your head around it? It's mad, because I never really understood why, and we've spoken about it on this podcast. I think we always said, don't sack Ten-Hag, don't sack Howe, and don't sack Pochettino, because they've all had really difficult things going on above them and an injury crisis. Pochettino had actually steadied the ship over the last few weeks. Young team. And what they're basically going to do is start again.
It's almost like, starting a football podcast, doing a season with your co-host, really getting into bed with them, not literally, but sort of really forming an on-screen relationship, building on that, and then just being like, look, I'm not renewing your contract next year. I've found somebody else.
It's not the same as that. He's just trying to keep his job again. Niall, I told you not to tell him about it.
No, I think it's just so strange, because the hardest thing to do in football, or even in business, isn't it, is just get that buy-in as a leader.
Rapport.
And get a rapport, and he's done that, and he's cultivated his own squad, because it was 40, 50 deep, the amount of players on loan, and he was putting his identity on that. So you've just got to start all over again next season. It doesn't feel like a business decision, because there's no, unless, I really feel that they might bring in Jose Mourinho, just because Ted Bowley's the sort of like when we got Wayne Rooney, and it's like, PR move, let's get it done.
I genuinely would be concerned as a Chelsea fan. I quite liked Todd Bowley in the sense that it's great to have an owner that wants to spend loads of money and wants to be successful, but it's not great if they don't know what they're on about. No. It can be really damaging. And I just think they're a really, really, really cluelessly bad run football club, because it's like you've had a bad season. It's your second year potentially you're not in the Champions League again.
But you've salvaged, comparatively, you've got done well at the end.
You've finally got some momentum. You've finally got a bit of a style of play, and you're back to square one again. I mean, next season, where do you put Chelsea?
Yeah, now with this, I don't know. And also you're going into the unknown territory of when you're getting to the 7th and 8th year of these Modric, Lavia, Caicedo deal. It feels a bit like in NFL when they sign these massive deals and then sort of kick it down the can, and you can keep kicking it down the can in NFL. But with these contracts in the Premier League and with Chelsea, that's going to show up sometimes of what are you actually going to do? Because if Lavia is not playing and you've signed him for 125 million and you're trying to recoup those costs, and it's
I'd worry about that Lavia. Look, we've said it with Malacia at Man United. It's very unusual to miss a whole season with an injury,
especially at that age.
Yeah, and obviously there's still talk that they'll sell Chalobah and Conor Gallagher.
Who's the favourites on that?
Conor Gallagher to go as well, which I just think is just bad. We'll sell them because they're young and we get 100% of the profit for FFP, so we can go and spend it on someone on a 9-year deal again. I worry about Chelsea next season, but look, they might stumble on it and they might get it right. But Pochettino to De Zerbi, Pochettino to...
Where does Poch go? Does that put him in the frame for the Man United stuff?
Well, it will be. As I said, I think that'd be a stupid move. I didn't want him 2 years ago. I said when he went to Chelsea a year ago, it would end in tears. It ended in tears the wrong way, but Pochettino shouldn't be getting the United job. But I would have definitely kept him at Chelsea for another year.
Yeah, I do, just because you've done right. You take the results out of it. The other objectives of making the squad your own and getting the buy-in, he's done, and it's just
I think with football at the moment,
maybe I just solved it then.
There's a bigger problem. Liverpool are doing it. Maybe he goes to Bayern, yeah. I think Liverpool are doing it as well after Klopp, haven't they? They've brought Michael Edwards back to sort of run the transfers. Brighton have been doing this for years. All I keep hearing at the moment, and I'd be interested to know what you think in the comments about this, is that even Chelsea, I think it was Romano said the other night, Chelsea are looking for a younger manager, a younger coach.
What do you know?
Well, Pochettino's 52. That's young as a coach. Yeah. Look at Ancelotti, he's touching 70.
Yeah. But De Zerbi's favourite, Kieran McKenna's in at second.
McKenna shouldn't go anywhere near that job.
No. I don't think he should go there or Brighton.
Well, I'd choose Brighton over Chelsea.
You see, McKenna won LMA Manager of the Year over Pep and Arteta.
Did he?
Yeah.
Do you think got to be careful because I gave him a bit of stick at Man United as a coach, but that stick was based on Solskjaer wasn't good enough and McKenna and Carrick weren't ready.
Yeah.
And I think that's been proven by the fact that McKenna's gone down to League One, got promoted. He's on a really good upward path now. Carrick's doing well at Middlesbrough, and Ollie still doesn't have a job. But I think McKenna might be a little bit overhyped in the sense that I think McKenna is really interesting and a little bit like Eddie Howe and Potter before the fall. He didn't fall down the stairs. I mean metaphorically. Here's an English manager that could. We've not had an English manager who's gone to the top level of football for a very, very long time. And what I mean by that is fighting for titles. You know, it's Sir Alex, Scottish, it's Kenny Dalglish, it's Mourinho, Portuguese, it's Pep, it's Klopp. You know, McKenna could be a manager that does that. But he's not. He's got promoted twice with Ipswich. He shouldn't be being considered for the Chelsea job. I don't want him anywhere. You know, as somebody that wants him to do well, I don't want McKenna anywhere near a Man United or Chelsea job. He needs a season in the Premier League because all McKenna is to me is what Vincent Kompany was a year ago.
But yeah, I was going to exactly say, I was just double checking he actually is English.
McKenna?
Yeah. We said Northern Irish on there.
Did it?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe he's Northern Irish.
British.
British then?
British manager. But
well, yeah.
Point remains.
I'm happy to be pulled up on that because it matters not. I didn't say the England job. British manager then. It doesn't matter.
But
Welsh, Scottish, British.
I think exactly right with Vincent Kompany because it's what we spoke about in
definitely
terms of,
Northern Irish.
Yeah, not Republic.
Yeah.
What was I going to say?
I'd love it if it was Republic Irish, but it wouldn't be British then.
Yeah.
I lived there for 3 years. They would not like that.
And that's what this.
And you don't need any more hate from the Irish.
Why? What have I done?
Because they don't like you.
Oh, I had to realise time in Dublin.
Land in Dublin Airport, they've got a big picture. See this man.
I had a taxi driver that said he was best mates with Dennis Irwin, but I think they all say that, don't they?
It's quite a small country.
Yeah. Vincent Kompany.
And everyone's friendly. That's probably why.
Vincent Kompany spot on. And also, like, even to the level that we spoke about Jurgen Klopp, there's certain managers that can take that next step, but you've got to do it at the right time. And like the McKenna Ipswich project, just keep going on. Because you've got to try that first year in the Premier League, and I'd love him to be pragmatic because they can't do. I mean, they might be able to do it, but the way they've been playing football needs to probably change if they're going into the Premier League. So then that really shows your stripes as a manager, doesn't it, of what you can do and how you evolve and how you can do that. But then does it feel like I just hate the idea of like a natural succession of like, right, he has to go then to a Brighton, then he can go to a Chelsea?
No, I just think the Chelsea job and the Man United job is a horrific job for any manager and a very hard job for any manager. And Chelsea should have kept Poch and Man United should keep Ten-Hag. But if you bring Kieran McKenna into that, he's never managed in the Premier
Potter
League.
As well, isn't it?
Potter all over again. And the media will swallow him up and he won't be used to that. The fan bases will be excited because he's young, and then we've made a mistake very, very quickly. Yeah. And
you go from young and exciting to inexperienced and out your depth and very quickly.
And the enormity of the focus is I genuinely mean this. If I was Kieran McKenna and I was offered the Chelsea job or the Crystal Palace job, I'd take the Palace job.
Yeah, because strong foundations.
I'd take the Brighton job. I'd take the Fulham job.
I just think stay where you are.
Go somewhere where it's a challenge, but you're going to get the buy-in from the club, the fans, the media. The media is important as well.
And also, like Ipswich Town, fairly like big club, and you can make it bigger as well. It's not like I could easily see a Brentford slipping out the Premier League next year if you lose a if you lose a Thomas Frank. So it's just and a Fulham as well. Like I think you can if he views the Ipswich Town as a long project, it's almost picking off them clubs and working your way through. So I hope he stays because I think. Just carry on the like unbelievable work, and I don't think he's overhyped because of what he's done. I think it's just sometimes we don't help it, do you? But you've probably put a good pragmatic take on it in terms of like just stay where you are. Like you don't need to go chasing.
I'd probably take the Brighton job over staying at Ipswich just because of what happened to Kompany at Burnley. I think it's impossible to stay.
I feel with Brighton that's going to come to an end. I think I said it on the last podcast in terms of not come to an end, but I think that they've peaked with their success in terms of the league position and that Europa League run. And how many times can you find the next best manager, the next best player in every? Like, I hope I'm wrong.
It's horrible for the Premier League though if Ipswich get promoted really, really well, and then the reason they got promoted leaves, because it's like selling your best striker when you get promoted again, isn't it? You're just going to go straight back down.
Manager,
yeah, they'll go straight back down. But I think also, whoever goes to Chelsea, they'll all go in there with like, oh, I'm the man. You're on a trapdoor. I mean, I was doing the timeline last night when I did a reaction on That's Football. Tuchel was there at the start of Bowley. 2 months later, Tuchel's gone. Potter comes in after the summer transfer window and he's gone the following March in the same season. Then Lampard comes in, he's crap. And then they go, Poch is the guy to take us forward. And end of the season, he's gone. So if you're the next guy, and if you're a fan of Chelsea, you've got absolutely no long-term plan because you don't trust it. Because they said with Potter, we're going to stick with him. They said with Pochettino, we're going to stick with him. When they first came in, they said Tuchel's the guy. You can't trust that ownership, and you cannot build a relationship when there's no trust.
And also with Potter, it was like they didn't just bring in Potter, they brought in the whole Brighton infrastructure with him as well. And like also there's that thing where Ted Bowley is not going to be in charge, is it, from like 2027 because of like the board vote?
Still 3 years, isn't it?
So, but is there a thing of like he's not even thinking of Chelsea's future, he's just thinking of his 3-year future where he wants to bring in that sort of instant success, and he's like, with Pochettino, I don't see us getting top 4, I don't see us getting a domestic cup.
I mean, it's one to keep an eye on with the podcast because we are about, things that potentially are ruining football. And I know we had the Super League, and the Super League was very much based upon an American football model, which I like American football, but it's unique in the sense that there is no other American football. It's American football. I think we are subtly moving towards it. I think many clubs now are hiding behind the fact that this is the way to run a football club, but actually we're losing managers and we're gaining head coaches. And there's a lot of clubs now. Man United are doing it. Brighton have done it. Liverpool are now going to do it after Klopp. They want to build this board and recruitment team that runs the club, and then the coach is just a puppet on a string. Sir Alex Ferguson wasn't a puppet on a string.
Not that, is he?
Pep's not a puppet on a string. Klopp wasn't a,
Emery's not that.
And Chelsea are definitely doing it. It's almost like managers have become the Expendables. And when you're sacking Poch because you want a younger manager and he's a 52-year-old who's probably fallen out with the ideas that they have, as a football fan, do you want your club to have a manager or do you want your club to have a head coach? I want my club to have a Pep or a Klopp or a Sir Alex or a Mourinho. I want a manager that sits in front of the press, can deal with the press, can run the football club, can dictate the style of play, and can deal with the boardroom in relation to what he wants to win trophies. I do not want a puppet on a string. And I think many clubs are looking to do this. And the problem with that is it may well work well at a Bayern Munich, but as a Chelsea, if you've got Pratt, and the thing that's dangerous about it is, as football fans, we will always pin it on the manager. But if you've got a head coach, how much power do they actually have? So managers, merry-go-round, could continue to happen where managers are going, it's almost like the NFL model, isn't it? Oh, that coach is going there, that coach is going there. And I hate this, Will. I absolutely hate it. And I'm sure you do as a Birmingham fan as well. When you've got a manager, you want them to buy into your football club. So when Sir Alex comes down from Aberdeen and stays for 20 years, and he's a Man United manager, but Klopp, not only was a Liverpool manager, he ingrained himself within Liverpool culture and society around the key issues in Liverpool and could speak about them in a public way and be part of it. Football fans love that. You don't want a head coach who's just, well, I'm here, I might be gone next season. It's franchising football in a sense.
Well, that's what people were speaking about with Klopp as well. It's almost like the trophies are there to be celebrated as a Liverpool fan, but like the wider football community is almost just celebrating him being there and what he's brought to the Premier League and to Liverpool. And even the most jealous I've been of Aston Villa over the last couple of years, probably obviously Unai Emery aside, is like when they had Dean Smith as the manager and Jack Grealish as the captain, because you got a fan who's a good manager and progressive, and then you've got one of the youngest talents in the world who is their captain, and he's a local lad. So it's also not a hard thing to achieve, I almost don't think.
We are moving away from it though.
Yeah, because there's a clear recipe to success, I think, of like, well, ultimately we've not had it this year and for various different reasons, but that's why as a Birmingham City fan, like that next appointment's really crucial for me, and hopefully they get it right. But it's a strange one. One of the managers that's not going to be up for grabs, we don't think, and I even think more so after this latest squad announcement, is Gareth Southgate though.
Yeah, we're going to talk about England and the Euros now. But look, it's interesting. Get your comments in. Are we seeing the Americanisation of football in the sense that when you look at it, just before the start of the season, Lopetegu's the manager, he's off. There seems to be a lot of these management moves that clubs are willing to make, just like it's selling a player. And I don't think that fits in with what football, we're moving away from the core of what football is. It's becoming very, very franchised. And there's a lot of American owners in football, and I love American football, but I don't like the whole, he's moving there. It's like, you can't have a manager that's managed Spurs, Chelsea, Man United. You can't have that.
But you can't lump it like the guys at Liverpool. Hendry has done a fantastic job in terms of, he's American, isn't he?
Who?
The Liverpool owner.
Hicks, is it?
No, Hicks and Gillette was years ago. It's Hendry, he's an American guy, and they've done really well with it in terms of and we've got American owners. I think they're going to do well. But
it's not about being an American owner. It's about appreciating what English football is. You can't make English football American football in the sense that.
But I don't think they all are trying to do that.
I don't think there's a fan of any Premier League club that would get excited about changing your manager every summer.
No, or your location.
And it feels to me like, this meeting that Brighton had with De Zerbi and that Chelsea had with Poch, you expect normally both of them to come out invigorated and ready to go again, and yet it's like, no, we're not aligned, off you go. And I don't get it.
And also this season more than any, with 115, with the Dan Ashworth stuff, with everything, like you just next year I really want to get back to speaking about football.
Yeah, and also I think the thing with football is, if you look at what Klopp did at Liverpool, it's not, you can't take a football club from a bad season to a Premier League title. No. You can't do that. You're talking...
Leicester City did.
Yeah, but you're talking probably 3-4 years. Every time you change your manager, you reset that clock.
Yeah.
And Chelsea...
So you're 2 years away from the title then?
Could be, but Chelsea under Pochettino, if they'd had him next year, would be closer to a title than they are now, because they've reset the clock.
And it's just mad because...
Look at Liverpool. Like Klopp this year, if he was staying, you'd say good chance winning the title next year. Yeah. Under Slot, I'd say forget it. You've got to reset again. Yeah. So it's weird why clubs keep changing their managers.
But that's just
human. Bad ownership.
Well, it's humans as well, isn't it? You don't like, if you've got a hothead at the top of the thing and he goes in, and then that's all progression ruined because of one big argument. Money
can't buy your brains.
No,
in football.
No.
Another good quote. Right, let's talk about England and the Euros. Actually, let's not. Let's do the breastfed names first.
Well, yeah, it doesn't have to. I was thinking more in football of because obviously famously, when you're young, you start with your sticker books as well, don't you? So I don't think I'm ever going to get another Ian Walker. An Ian.
Ian, yeah, you don't have to give him a second name.
Well, yeah, I don't think you get another Ian Walker, a man who could rock some serious curtains.
Yeah, that haircut will come back. So we're talking about, this is more for the chat, to get involved in the chat. We obviously have a podcast. Gary Lineker's got one, Gary Neville's one. And we were talking about how you're never really going to get a baby called Gary anymore. Now, I might be wrong. There might be a massive influx of Garys being registered wherever they register them. But there are quite a few. And then Niall, our producer, jumped in with, you don't get a Craig on the breast. Then he quickly said, I heard that on TikTok, of which there is no evidence of this yet.
No, I'm not seeing
So I think Niall might be watching things and thinking about things that maybe aren't. Well, then again. A
bit like Little Britain, isn't it?
Might be a category somewhere. Yeah, might be. Yeah, you should watch Little Britain. You'd like that. But yeah, I don't agree with Craig. I think Craig still could be a relevant name in the 2024.
Kevin.
Don't know why that makes me laugh. You're not going to get a Kevin. You're not going to get a Gary.
But then you look back.
You're not going to get an Ian.
Kevin McAllister.
What about David? David could work.
Dave.
Not Dave.
No,
you can't have a Dave.
David. I wonder if you get any more Williams.
Yeah, because of the king. Yeah. To be. I'm not announcing anything yet.
No, don't be doing that.
Here we go. Fabrizio, don't do stuff like that. He should have branched out into stuff like that.
What, royal announcements?
Well, just other stuff. Like, on the night of the election, 10 o'clock when they do the pre-things, he could just put a tweet out. Here we go. Keir Starmer to number 10.
It's done.
Deal signed and dealed. 70% of the vote.
I'm trying to think what else he could do it for.
Here we go. When somebody horrible dies.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of who it could be.
Thatcher.
It's already
too political? Don't really understand it.
Here we go.
Rest in peace.
Jimmy Savile.
Yeah.
I think that's generally safe. I don't think we're going to get any complaints there about that.
Here we go. Adolf Hitler.
Yeah, that would be great.
That would be fine.
If we had Twitter in 1945, imagine the celebrations. Imagine the retweets, the followers. Could double his millions there.
Then do you get sort of...
I wonder if there's many people out there calling their kids... Oh, Niall, what about Fabrizio on the breast?
No,
Yeah, that'd be nice. You're Italian.
Italy's got that covered, I think.
You're
Is there a lot of Fabrizios now in there?
You're Italian.
Well, I think Italy's going to keep the Fabrizio's coming, to be fair.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd probably look at your set. Well, I'd look at both of your names, Mark.
I think there'd be a lot of Marks.
No, I don't think you've ruined that, pal.
William.
Yep.
Will. Yeah, we've done that one.
Wish Wellington.
What about your middle name?
David?
Gordon.
Gordon, yeah, you ain't going to go...
There
I'll tell
aren't
you what,
many Gordons on the breast.
tell you what, you go through Thomas the Tank Engines. Thomas. Don't think you get many Henry, Gordon, Percy.
I think Henry's quite a good one.
Henry's fine, yeah. I don't think you get many Percys going forward.
Of
Edwards. Ed.
Yeah, I know a few Edwards.
Diesel.
I nearly said I know a few Edwards under the age of 8.
Yeah, well, so you might
I
do.
know one Edward under the name of 8, and he's my nephew. So yeah, that's just totally that. I think names can get disgraced as well, can't
Annabelle
they?
and Claridge.
Philip.
Yeah.
Oh no, you got Schofield.
Andrew.
People might not be comfortable. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is what I mean. Names can go out of fashion for other reasons as well. Anyway, let's get on to Paul. Yeah, I think it could work. What do people call if you're listening to the podcast or watching the podcast, what are people calling the kids these days?
Look, I'm getting to that age now, aren't I? So my friend's just had a baby. They've called it Ezra. When you listen to the podcast, so you have to like it.
Yeah,
I genuinely do like it.
Yeah, and that's what I mean.
Seb's a good name.
I don't really know.
How did you come up with Seb? Seb Larson.
No, I always wanted to. We had a dog called Sebastian.
Oh right, nice.
And my sister did it with a couple of dog names as well.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. Shep. Talking about names, England's Euro squad. I wonder if Gareth Southgate picks it like this. Can't pick you.
Yeah.
Can't pick you. I don't like the name. But in general, I think I'm on a positive trip with Southgate at the moment. I don't rate him, but I genuinely think I've had to park it because as much as he frustrates me, I want and believe that England are going to win the Euros, and I just don't think bringing the negativity helps. So I'm going to go with... And also, when I saw his squad, I wouldn't say I was like, go on, Gareth, but I was very surprised when he left Jordan Henderson and Marcus Rashford out because they are part of the nepotism crew. They are part of his originals. Yeah. And I was very surprised that he left them out. But only in the sense that he'd left them out. Neither of them should have gone, I don't think.
No, I think it's like everything that he's sort of stood for over the last couple of years. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but like it just feels like he's gone 180 to this youth movement, and that makes me think: is he staying for a long time? Is he like bleeding these guys in for his own purpose? Obviously, an England national perspective, it's great as well. One of the things that we are on the watch for now is like FA Cup final with England players, Champions League final. I just read on Twitter when I was looking for the Chelsea manager odds that Kieran Trippier has gone down with an injury in that Australia game.
Wow. They're flown out straight after the Premier League to play a game in Australia for money, which I don't have a problem with, but the risk is if you pick up an injury and... what was the result in the game? Or are they still playing?
No, they're still playing, but like if that could be Kieran, this could be Kieran Trippier's last chance to go to a major tournament as well.
Well, it was quite. What are your thoughts on Luke Shaw being selected, considering he hasn't played for Man United since January and Ben Chilwell didn't get picked?
Yeah, I mean Chilwell, I think, has been in absolute honking form. I think,
and he's injury prone.
And Gareth's got the trust with Luke Shaw with what he does. You know, there's players that
Joe Gomez is picked as well, isn't he?
Joe Gomez picked. Kieran Trippier could probably do a job at left back. Do you look at some of the other fullbacks that could...
We spoke about this though. It's been a weird year for left backs, hasn't it? I mean, Vardiel's not even a left back. He's probably him or Udogie who are left backs of the year.
Well, you just want to try. I think that's the strength of that back four. If you can get Luke Shaw fit and get Maguire fit, that they are also comfortable playing with each other, and Pickford's behind it. And I know a lot of people will be like, get him in for form. But we've been on a journey with them guys since 2018, and how hard is it to get that chemistry in international football with the stop-start nature of it? But you can go into a major tournament with Shaw, Maguire, Stones, Walker. Okay, individually might not be happy, but as a collective, I feel quite happy with that.
Again, it's another niche in football that's quite hard to get your head around, isn't it? Because Harry Maguire's not been fit for the last month. Yeah. And I don't think he's fit for the FA Cup final. Luke Shaw's not been fit since January. John Stones has hardly played for Man City. And yet they will all be back to go and play a game every 4 days
But
for a month.
there's not like a plethora of people in behind them, is there?
No, but I
that's
think
why like Rashford's not gone, because you've got your Gordons,
Yeah.
Bowens. I don't think Bowen's in it, is it? No, Bowen's in it.
Grealish is Bowen's
Grealish
in,
in it. Foden can play Saka. So I think I understand in certain positions why he's done that.
I mean, it's more from a Man United fan point of view. They're not happy that Luke Shaw has basically got himself fit for the Euros when, he's not played for Man United hardly at all. He'll go to the Euros, give it everything, playing every 4 or 5 days,
That's
and then
speculative though,
no
isn't it?
doubt then be injured for the start of the season.
That's speculative. You don't know like what his injury record is.
No, and I've said, to be honest, as an England fan, I want Luke Shaw to be fit.
Yeah.
And we'll never know, and this is where conspiracy thrives. If this was November, if Luke Shaw's going to be back fit for December the 5th, he plays for Man United on December the 5th. The problem is the season finishes at the end of May. If he's fit for June the 5th and he's only just missed out, then he's fit, isn't he? You can't just go, no, you didn't make the Man United deadline.
I don't know. You don't
I don't know what the truth is, but we are really struggling. I mean, my concern about Luke Shaw would be, can he actually play a game every 3 or 4 days? He is struggling with that sort of thing.
Yeah, I know. Also, like, you just thinking about it, like, Pickford's nearly 30, Carl Walker's in his 30s, Stones is 30, 31, I think, going into it. Maguire's in his 30s, Luke Shaw's 28. So, like, he has to start picking those young players to bleed them in, because otherwise, who are we going to have?
Do you think there's anybody that can genuinely look at that and go, I'm unlucky not to be there? I mean, I know we've spoke about Ward-Prowse over the year, but that was never going to happen. He hasn't took Jordan Henderson. He hasn't took Calvin Phillips, so you can't moan about that.
I think it's
Rashford on form.
You go on social media,
go.
like that's like, because you're normally, how many tete-a-tetes have me and you had about Southgate and squads? I think generally yesterday there was a overriding sort of,
I think Tomori's a bit unlucky, but he has been fading away for a while.
Eric Dyer.
He's had a very good season for AC Milan, but he has been phased out and also he's going to trim it again, isn't he? So
you've got to get down to 26.
I think the next one will be interesting, because you've got to get down from what?
33 to 26.
So he's got to get rid of 7. One of the goalkeepers, obviously.
Yeah.
And then
like Gerald Quansah probably
won't go. Guehi. It'd be interesting, because Branthwaite or Guehi will probably be a choice.
Guehi's played a few more times, hasn't he?
I mean, Tyrone Mings probably would have gone, wouldn't he?
Someone like Eric Dyer has got to
I'm glad he's not going, though.
Why?
Because I just think that's the past, and you've got to start looking progressively.
I think maybe that's what he's doing, is like, that's my first 4 defenders, and like, I really need to start thinking of the future with
whether it's Southgate's future.
Yeah.
Think he'll stay if he wins the Euros?
Yes.
Yeah, you know what? I think it's a little bit like the managerial. There's not really stand out. I mean, everyone's talking about this person's going to take this job. I'd take Poch at England.
Yeah.
No one's thinking about that. There aren't Tuchel England. I'd take. He won't do it, but
it just feels like with the way that they've set up, though, it might just be like.
My frustration with Southgate is the style of play. He is not a great on the eye.
Yeah,
manager.
but right. So that squad's changed everything. Maybe it's like.
Well, it'll be interesting, won't it? What we can't do, we have to win the Euros, and what we can't do is flatter to deceive in the big games. We should have beat France in the World Cup. We should have beat Italy in the final. If he messes it up this year, it'll be his legacy, and the team's more than good enough to win it, in my opinion.
I just have such a strong feeling for him. I just want him to do well as well.
I don't really care about that. I really don't. I just care about me and England winning. Look, the season hasn't ended. There's an FA Cup final. We'll be back on Monday, of course. There's a Champions League final after that. Then there's the Euros. But the reason we bring in managerial merry-go-round is because we'll be talking about all that. Big transfer shows as well. We're going to get into that on the podcast. So make sure you give us a follow, give us the 5 stars, keep listening. Lots to get involved in. We've got Euro previews as well. We're going to be doing every watch along of the Euros on That's Football YouTube channel as well. And we'll be doing little reactions here. And hopefully on the podcast, we'll be building week on week towards an England Euros win.
I think it'd be quite nice to carry it on with the podcast and just have those
it's
reflections.
More relaxed chat, innit?
Yeah, and then get into the summer and. It's our first
big
season.
Transfers. We can take a little bit of a trip down memory lane about big transfers and who've been the best transfers, etc.
And also, finish the Euros middle of July.
Everyone's going to go on tour.
Everyone's going to go on tour. I'll probably go on holiday, get back start of August, and then do it all again.
Yeah. Got me book out on August the 1st.
Wow.
That's probably the biggest signing.
Yeah,
I've got a lot of signing to do, actually.
Get them done. Yeah,
3 people have actually ordered a pre-signed one.
Yeah. Me, Niall, and your wife.
Yeah.
No, it's doing well, isn't it?
It's doing well, yeah. Get it, order it.
Make it do
Amazon,
better.
Amazon Audible as well. I've read the whole book.
Did you?
Yeah, that was
you
funny.
Did, sorry, yeah.
I couldn't keep the same accent.
What do you mean?
I'd go into chapter 2 and they're going, why are you doing this Ange thing?
Scottish.
And I'd be like, I can't help myself. I'm very bad when I think about how I'm talking, keeping it in that accent. I'll start wandering off.
I thought you'd be
else.
fine because you do it every day.
I know, but it's like when you're trying to act a little bit.
Probably overthinking it as well
Yeah.
because of a book and everything that comes with that.
Yeah.
You're an author. You got that to add when you get introduced on like an extra author, broadcaster and podcast. We haven't even spoke about the Guardian thing, or are we saving that for something else?
Oh yeah, the gardening thing was very nice actually,
Yeah.
wasn't it? Yeah. We'll bring that in on Sunday maybe. Yeah.
We'll talk about that on another pod.
Yeah. Well, but no, we will. We've got next week's podcast.
Sorry,
coming out.
playoff final at the weekend. Leeds Southampton, one of the biggest championship games, playoff final games.
Isn't it the most expensive game?
Well, that's it. But like in terms of the recent history, in my eye, like Leeds versus Southampton at Wembley for a place in the Premier League. I'll be there. I'll be on the big screen at Wembley if you're there. Throw some.
Well, I'll be
tomatoes
doing a
at me.
watch along for that because next season I really want to get into the EFL. It's the best league in the world. It's one of the most watched leagues in the world, and I've neglected it for too long.
Do you know
this
what?
will
Like,
be good for me. One will be coming to my league, the Premier League, and one will be staying in the Championship. So it's a good scouting mission, and I'm looking forward to expanding Goldbridge Saves Football conversation next year into a little bit more about the EFL because there's we've got to do it.
my greatest legacy will just, if you can clip that out for me there, that'll be my greatest legacy of you having a bit of attention on the EFL.
Well, I'm gonna try and figure out teams that I want to, not just one. I'm gonna probably pick 3 or 4 teams that I'm gonna go, all right, I'm gonna keep an eye on them.
Birmingham City.
I said
You keep an eye out anyway.
Yeah, I will. Championship though is what I'm really talking about. Maybe next year.
Too soon.
Get your comments in. Thanks everyone for watching and listening. And don't forget, we're here every week in the summer as well. Take care, everyone. It's going to be a big one. Take care and Will.
Bye.